Approximately 8 years ago, I was doing bird photography using Panasonic cameras to capture action pulling stills from 6K video. Approximately 3 years ago, I started doing aviation photography and was interested in seeing if I could capture images of the planes using the same stills from video method. The idea was to get 2 for 1. I would be able to have standalone video and pull my stills from the video. The first technique I tried was handheld. I was using the Panasonic G9 with the Panny Leica 100-400. Anyone that is familiar with the Panny Leica 100-400 is aware how stiff the zoom ring is. The video was extremely shaky, unstable, and the stiffness of the zoom ring was unbearable. After a few hours of racking the zoom, I would have extreme pain in my wrist. To fix the wrist pain and make it easier to rack the zoom ring, I purchased the focus shifter, lens shifter, pro focus, and zoom grip. The shifter works great, but it would rock the camera, which didn't work well to capture unshaky video. I kept the lens shifter and moved on to trying to stabilize the video by using a tripod. Using a regular ball head on the tripod, I was unable to keep the camera steady. To fix that, still using the tripod, I replaced the ball head with a video head, the Manfrotto MVH500AH. This fixed the camera stability, but the tripod hindered my mobility. I found trying to walk around the legs hindered my ability to effectively track the planes. The same goes for trying to track the planes when they would go vertical. I found the aerobatic pilots were the hardest to track. A lot of times during their flight routines, they would hold in the sky, then go from nearly a standstill, they would accelerate rapidly. Although a handheld provided the agility to keep up, eventually I would have to succumb to the weight of my camera and lens. As for the tripod, because I would have it adjusted for eye height, getting under the camera to view and fluidly follow the planes was nearly impossible. Keep in mind, I'm talking about recording 6K video with the intention of pulling stills from the video. So my pursuits revolved around trying to keep tightly composed but steady video. Not happy with the result of the tripod, I moved to a monopod. The monopod offered more mobility than the tripod, but again, with the more aerobatic flight routines, I found myself constantly lifting and moving the monopod. From the tripod setup, I transferred the Manfrotto video head and the lens shifter. The monopod was basically like shooting handheld, but more cumbersome and more weight. Due to having to stand hunched over with your eye fixed to the viewfinder and the constant moving and standing, it took a toll on my body and was very fatiguing. My video was still unsteady. In thought, I revisited the limitations of the monopod and the tripod. I needed more freedom of movement to be able to track the aerobatic planes in all directions, to include when the planes would hold above head in the sky. I was unable to be steady enough handheld, but even if I could hold it steady, it was too fatiguing. So I thought about what technical system could I use that would provide maneuverability and mitigate fatigue while holding the camera gear for long periods of time. I started scouring the internet for other stabilizer systems. I came across the cotton carrier vest with the Steady Shot accessory. I found that the cotton carrier with the Steady Shot was the answer. It provided the maneuverability and fatigue suppression I was looking for. I transferred the Manfrotto head onto the cotton carrier Steady Shot. Near this time, I replaced using the Panny Leica 100-400 and purchased the Olympus 100-400. Racking the zoom was much better on the Olympus, but during this time I still incorporated the use of the lens shifter. I made some modifications to the Steady Shot to make it more suitable to my envisioned style. While using the system, when I was tracking the planes horizontally, there came a moment during that track I would have to move my feet. This movement would disrupt the smoothness, and I found that this constant standing was also tiring. I would practice different movements, like practicing dance moves in an effort to fix the disruption of smoothness associated with having to move my feet. I also noticed the joints of the Steady Shot would loosen because of the camera lens weight and from the movements associated with aviation photography. Because of the loosening of the joints, I modified the Steady Shot platform. I reversed the top swing arm so that the curve in the swing arm was towards my chest. I did this so that both swing arms were in a more vertically straight position. I borrowed a handle lock from one of my powered garden tools and used it to lock out the top swing arm. I used a 1/4 inch to 1/4 inch threaded screw adapter to lock out the bottom swing arm. I found this setup to be more effective than all the other technical setups I mentioned. The last modification I made was to the latch that connects the Steady Shot to the vest. I drilled a hole through the side of the Steady Shot, which allowed me the ability to insert a pin. The pin locks the steady shot to the vest. This is necessary to keep the steady shot from becoming unseated during vertical shooting. I eventually purchased the Olympus 150-400 and used it in place of the Olympus 100-400. The zoom throw on the 150-400 could be racked from 150-400 in one motion and with ease. Because of the ease of zoom, this eliminated any further need of the lens shifter. I also purchased and replaced the G9 with the OM1. Lastly, to further stabilize the setup and manage the fatigue associated with standing, I added a swivel chair. The swivel chair also allowed me to be able to work 360 degrees while maintaining satisfactory stabilization. To sum things up, I tweaked this setup over the past 2 years. One of the perks of using the OM1 with select lenses is that I can do continuous bursts with full autofocus as fast as 50 frames per second. When I viewed the images frame by frame, I realized it was more useful to make video from stills rather than stills from video. Thanks for watching.